Show is back with a brand new show and a brand new do. I'm so excited about my guest this week. Yolanda Barnes, or Yogi with two eyes, as she's known, has been writing since the age of 13. Her talent, her performance, and her story. Our conversation is coming up next on the PowerPLAY Show.
From the studios at Hellbait Productions, this is Season 3 of the PowerPLAY Show. Now, here's Tonya McGrath.
Welcome to the PowerPLAY Show. I'm Tonya McGrath, and I'm so excited to be back this summer with new guests. And I'm kicking things off with a woman of many talents. You never know what will happen when Yolanda A. Barnes, better known as Yogi with two eyes, hits the stage. From poetry that will make you sit on the edge of your seat to words that will make you stand to your feet, even giving you a little comedy, singing a soulful song that will have you swooning, or freestyle not to forget. You can best believe that you will get a show to remember. Writing since 13, Yogi started penning raps until one day it turned into something more. After showing it to a friend, it was decided that this is poetry. And from that point on, poetry was all that was written. Although poetry was not the only creative outlet, this multi-talented artist has over time become a photographer, graphic designer, visual merchandiser, author, spoken word artist, motivational speaker, and recording artist. Yogi draws from all her talents and life experiences as soon as she hits the stage. Currently, Yogi can be found cultivating new artists and creatives through workshops and consulting sessions. She is proud to announce a new book in the works and shows book that will have Yogi on a stage this year. Very excited about that. Poetry, motivational speaking, running workshops, the slam, and features, no matter the capacity in your special events. Yogi with two eyes is the poet that you have been waiting to hear. Yogi, welcome to the PowerPLAY Show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm excited too. So just so our audience knows that you and I have we met probably over a year ago at least, the Ray Thomas Variety Show Live, and now that you're one of the hosts on the show, we get to see each other each week. But I was really excited to just kind of get one-on-one with you because you are clearly a multi-talented woman with so many gifts. But before we jump into all that, tell our audience a little bit more about your life, who you are, what you do, those type of things.
Well, first of all, I'm a mother of an 11-year-old creative. I am an all-around creative. I love to paint, to draw, to sew. I've always been that creative person who wanted to entertain. I wanted to throw parties. I wanted to do all of those things from a little girl, and was doing newspapers and writing raps in a red notebook and didn't even know really what I was doing. But I am the person that will console you when you're down, and I am the person that will just be there for you. And I love to teach. A lot of times people don't realize that I'm teaching them as we're going along. I also I love to cook. I love to eat. I'm a foodie. I have fun, I just like having fun. I love to dance, and everything just 360s around being creative and bringing out creative tendencies in other people, allowing them to be free enough to create something. So I love that.
And isn't it so rewarding? Because for me, it's like anything I start to create, it's almost like giving birth. And I just love the whole process of it. So talk about what that means to be such a creative person and what that feeling does for you.
Oh, wow. It's like my friend called me the creative doula. So I give birth to the idea. So I have the idea, or somebody brings me an idea and says, I don't know what to do with this or how to bring it forth. And I kind of look at it and go, that baby could be a baby. What is something? And then we work at it. And it's just about teaching creatives how to pull apart what they have, all those creative ideas, and how to bring it back together into that finished product they can be proud of. Because a lot of times we have those ideas and they bubble and they burst. Where? And then other times what we produce we don't like because it's too much. It's not what we wanted. It's not how we wanted. It didn't come together the way we thought it looked in our mind. And a lot of creatives will stop if it doesn't look the way they see it in their mind.
Right.
And so for me, it's kind of like, let's polish that diamond. Let's see what we can do with that and make it into something amazing. And I've been blessed to not only bring my ideas to life, but bring other people's ideas to life. And it's been beautiful. It's an amazing feeling to say, we did that.
I'm going to take a step back because in your intro, I mentioned that you started writing when you were 13 and you started out with raps. Were you, because I consider myself to still be a hip hop head, but were you that person? Were you in love with the culture and everything of hip hop before you turned into poetry? Everything rap, everything hip hop, everything was rhyming, everything was Rap City in the basement, everything was... Yes.
Everything was, I love Big Daddy Kane dance routines and don't mess with me and my crew because we got it. It was so fun. It was so fun. And what perplexed me was one day I wrote a rap that did not flow. First time I had ever done it and it felt different. And it was still good, but I couldn't make it work as a rap. And it was like my raps grew into poetry. My rap said, I need to grow up now.
Wow.
After that, all I wrote was poetry. And so, yeah, it was, my friend saw it and she was the one who pointed it out. She said, you know what? That's a poem. Right, poetry. Oh, okay.
You know, I think you and I have so much in common because in my early teenage years, thought I was a rapper and used to write my own stuff. And then I went into poetry too, because I think for me, what it was is that, being a teenager is so difficult as it is. And I needed an outlet to talk about my feelings. So I just started writing poetry, and I had a fantastic teacher, Beverly Smith, my 9th and 10th grade English teacher, who really inspired me. What were those years like for you, and what really inspired you to kind of dive into this whole poetic world?
Well, as a military brat, we lived everywhere, and because of that, like the divergence of cultures. We lived in Germany and we lived in Virginia and we lived, here, there, and everywhere. And it was just knowing that all these pieces were coming together. I didn't have a teacher that I can recall saying, this is poetry or anything like that, because we moved around. So I really didn't have that kind of connection. But when I started writing, I would write so complex about things that didn't have, like, you wouldn't think it would have anything to do with me or my life. I was writing funerals, I was writing about drugs. And at the time, I wasn't watching TV shows like that. I wasn't, back in those days, you didn't watch those shows, but they came on at a certain time and you were supposed to.
That's right.
So there was no way you were accidentally seeing something you shouldn't see. So I was really perplexed about that, but I just let it grow. That was one of those things where it just, when it came, and I let it write, I let the ink flow, and then when it was gone, I let it go because it left for a while. And when it came back, I was like, welcome back. But what I found is you have to live in order to write. If you don't live, you can't write what you've experienced.
Mm. What were some of the things that inspired you as a young poet? Were there friends? Were there you said you were an Army brat, you moved around a lot. What were some of the things that helped inspire your writing?
Oh, wanting a boyfriend. Nah.
Yeah.
It don't get much more complicated than a little teenage girl wanting a boyfriend. Her friends having boyfriends, and she's like the tomboy, and she's helping the boys write letters to the girls that she knows that are her friends and what they want to hear.
Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for a while there, I was mother love, and I was helping the fellas with the ladies. It was so odd, but God has a way of doing things. And he said, I'm going to put you in some places and show you some things. And I'm going to show you people. Learn people at an early age. I learned, everything isn't what you think it is. Everybody who claims to be a friend ain't a friend. I learned, the one thing that keeps coming to mind is the fight. I got
Yeah.
2 of them. One, because somebody talked about my sister and those feelings and emotions and urges to, protect my sister. In both cases, actually. Yeah, both cases. Those, I think, I captured more of the emotion side of it. So it wasn't necessarily the people, but it was the situations I would put in order to feel something.
Yeah.
And in order to be able to write it down and for somebody to feel it off the page. So I would say that, because I could name people and I've seen these people again. And they don't even remember some of the same things I remember, which is so crazy.
You mentioned that your daughter is also a creative. How did that develop, and what do you do to kind of help inspire her to be creative?
Wow. With her, I let her paint at an early age. I let her cook at an early age. Let her be in the kitchen and mix flavors together at an early age. Let her, really, she's been painting since she's probably been about 3 and selling her artwork. Like, I want her to see that you're not only just coloring in a coloring book, you can paint on canvas and you can sell it, and people will want it and will buy it and will pay you for it. And now that she's a little bit older, she's 11, she does animation on the computer.
Wow.
So and she gets that from seeing me do Photoshop as a graphic designer. And she just kind of picked it up from watching me do it, and she started, and she's been doing animation real heavy. She kind of put the paintbrush down and picked up animation. So that's where we're focused.
There's a lot of money in that. So, there's a lot of money in that.
She's talking about going to Japan and at 11.
Wow.
Like, plotting her course, and all I can say is, yep, let's go.
Let's go. We're about to take a listen to one of your pieces, In Your Glory. Can you tell our audience a little bit the background on this piece?
Oh my goodness. When I first started writing poetry, after years of not writing, I started going to an event and would write fresh ink every day for each show. And that was one of the pieces that stuck with me. It was just about how honored I feel to be blessed by God with another day.
Awesome. All right. So here is Yogi with 2 eyes and her piece, In Your Glory.
I lay prostrate daily, giving sun salutations to my inspiration. He has infused his essence in me. 9 months of his glorious divine divinity, a moment in serenity, and to this day he's still blessing me. Beyond my wildest dreams that I acknowledge he creates, there's no room for discussion or debate. I lay prostrate as he makes the road straight. He has the prayers returned, multiplied, returned down to mine and to supply mine and all the ones around me needs. And I keep thanking him for his influence. See this poem? This poem is from my inspiration to my inspiration as I lay prostrate in his glory. Thank you.
Wow, Yogi. So it really is very, very clear that your relationship with God really inspires all of the work that you do.
Yes, it really does. Without that relationship, I don't know where I would be. Some of the things that I've gone through, the strength that I've had to have, none of it would be possible without his love and his trust in me enough to be able to tell the story back. Because I feel that's what poets are. Trusted us enough to put us through the most, to be able to tell the story in a way where other people could understand it. So I feel blessed to be a poet, to be able to speak and say it. Because a lot of times people say, I didn't know how to say it until I heard you say it, and then I was like, And that's powerful, to know that you're helping people who can't quite verbalize it, have words for it, for whatever it is, the good, bad, and ugly, because I do all kind of poetry. So I always say I start my show with God first, and then it goes downhill from there.
Yeah.
So whatever happens, but we started with God, and I want y'all to remember that.
Yeah. So, you talked about teaching, and you do teach and inspire a lot of people. Why is that so important in your journey?
That is a whole ball of energy for me, because first of all, the fact that our ancestors came from absence. And then we say nothing, but they came from where they came from. So they had what they had.
Yeah.
When they got here. They were not afforded comforts. They were not afforded the luxury. And somehow the minimum.
Yeah.
And they learned to read, they learned to write, they learned to speak other languages, they learned how to read body language, they learned how to protect themselves, they learned how to make quilts with maps, they learned how to get to the freedom.
Wow.
And anyone who wants to take that away, in any form, shape, or fashion, anyone who doesn't take that seriously, I feel like it is my job to remind you, they would rather be stupid than to succeed. So I need you to get it together.
Yeah.
That's
very powerful. That's very powerful. I like to encourage young people to understand that you have a voice, and your voice is important, and your voice doesn't mean that you necessarily have to be in front of a camera, up on a stage or anything, but just using your voice as a tool to be able to express yourself in your own unique way is the most powerful tool that you have.
Yes.
And so, but that's just really. Now, what do you do when you see someone, a young person, struggling in that area, struggling to find their voice, struggling to express themselves? How do you encourage them?
I just listen first. I think it's very important that we listen. Once we listen, then we can find our way in. A lot of times as adults, it's kind of hard to find our way in to a conversation with somebody younger, because we don't quite know the lingo or whatever the case may be, and they think we're just prying. But we want to help. What I often do is I play music a lot, but not the typical music that normally they hear. Usually music that kind of makes me go, what is that? And make them ask me the question first. Open the door for dialogue. Then we can talk. But I think the most important thing is let them know we love them. and that we care about them. Even for the students that I don't know, I'm still like, gotcha. You need help with that?
Yeah.
You know, I'm here if you need it. I even had a student today said, I didn't know where else to go, so I just came to see you.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the things that are missing. Our children are not getting what they need in the school system. It's sad, but it's true. They're not. But they need a tough love that's not being given. And if it's tough, it's too tough. And if it's not love, it's something opposite, completely opposite of what is needed. And they're sliding them by.
Mm-hmm.
Even up into getting into college. Like these babies have been slid by. And so it's up for somebody to say, hey, we need to look at that.
Right.
You know, and even if it's a lot, just find one thing to help them with. Help them with that one thing. Put them up to know that everything else can be fixed. We can just fix one thing, we can fix everything.
You know, I would hate to be a young person in these times because growing up, you know, the worst thing that happened was maybe someone stopped talking to you or someone talked about you. But the level of bullying and violence and just carnage that our young people are being exposed to right now, I couldn't imagine that. How do we even begin to help kids feel safe? Like, you know, we were on the radio show yesterday and we were talking about the Uvalde shooting in Texas. How can we even, you know, are kids feeling hopeless? Are you coming across young people who are just feeling like, why should I even try any of this?
The one part about it is my daughter doesn't want to go outside. She doesn't want to talk to people. She doesn't want to eat. And I'm like, I want to take you to amusement parks and I want you to have fun. I want you to do what kids are supposed to be doing. And she's like, Mom, no, I don't want to do that. And so I'm still trying to figure that out. My baby is now turned into a COVID kid. So I'm still trying to figure out how to get her comfortable with going out into a world that's ever changing every second of every minute of every day. And she sees it. I would say don't let them watch the news, but she's with her grandfather and they watch CNN or they watch whatever. So she knows what's going on. These kids are the farthest from not knowing.
Yeah, and they all have these in their hands. So they, you know, if they don't see it, they can certainly look it up.
Yeah, and look it up and find it. So I'm still trying to figure that one out.
Yeah.
Trying to make my child comfortable and like she didn't even want to go to summer camp.
Wow.
I don't want to go. A day camp. I don't want to go.
Wow.
What do I do? I force her to go and she'd be completely unhappy.
Right.
You know, now I will say for some of the students that I saw coming for their freshman year here, they were very optimistic.
Mm.
The energy was great. They had lots of questions. They were very ready. I think they're just ready to do something different in it. So I think maybe just age range depending on. Some of them are more ready than others. But yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't figured it out yet. It's a crazy mix right now.
It really is. And I have a 15-year-old at home and, you know, he's really kind of focused on working out and playing sports, which is great. But ever so often I can kind of sense that there's a tension, that there's a disbelief in another school shooting, another police involved shooting, massacres that happen. And it's just horrible that, you know, in spite of just being a teenager in itself, which has all of its complexities,
Yes.
now we have to learn how to navigate through all this other stuff that's happening in the world. And it's It's exhausting. I don't know about you, but I'm exhausted.
It is. And what I told my daughter is that I had to apologize to her. I said, baby, I knew the world was crazy, but I didn't realize it was going to be this crazy.
Yeah.
And I said, we're just going to try to live our life the best we can and do what we can to make the best of it every day. And that's what we're going to do.
The next piece that our audience is going to see is your performance on Letter to the Abused. What inspired this piece?
I actually was abused as a teenager. And that boyfriend I wanted, I ain't want him no more. And it was very, very hard to let someone go who you've been with since you've been a teenager into a college student. And this poem is the aftermath of a lot of work after the fact. A lot of work. Yeah.
Let's take a listen to Letter to the Abused.
This is a letter to the abused. Those battered, used, and bruised. Those told to be ashamed, told time and time again that hand to face and fist to throat are the only ways you'll ever get love. Can't help but look down while trying to get up. And while words went in one ear, they were slowly messing with your mind. You were foolishly thinking, he loves me. He loves me. He's just having a rough time. And in time, this letter will make sense to you. You were made to be a soft place, but you're not bold enough to be. Too brittle to be invincible. And with each blow, you know you have to go. And you're too hurt to let anyone else know, but don't think they don't see those bruises. Suspect the abuses, as love has you hiding him. And as you're hiding him, he's sprinkling in how nobody else will ever want you. And the once sure shoulders of friends have now turned cold. They remembered you when you used to be bold. Bold enough to take stand, not take no mess from no man. Now you're just broken. And you don't hear anything past the general day-to-day conversations, and they're tired of waiting for you to get from underneath his thumb now. And he's so bold now. Everyone has watched him grab you up by your shoulders, get face-to-face with you, call you dumb, trick, pointing at the ground saying, sit, and you do. See, this letter is for you, and you know who you are. Shades in the wintertime, MAC to cover scars and scarves to hide handprints that have marked your semi-delicate skin. This letter is for you. And your belief that love is fist-to-face is ill-conceived. Please believe that there is someone out there who will love you and build you. Now, sweetie, I'm not saying it won't take time. Just saying before you free yourself, free your mind. And I know you're wondering how I could write you this letter line for line because, sweetie, I used to be you. I can sign this letter sincerely. Formerly abused.
Yeah, that one was really powerful.
Yeah. One is my signature piece. I do it everywhere. I don't care if people in the room have heard it a million times. You're going to hear it again. It's usually the first poem I do at an event, depending on the event. Mm-hmm. The first poem I do, and it nullifies the room.
Yeah.
It nullifies the room. We're here, we're gonna have a good time. I'm gonna do peanut butter and jelly after that. We're gonna have a good time. But if you have something going on, let's talk about it. And usually people will talk to me after the show. And I appreciate, I thank God. I remember writing that poem, laying on the couch going, yep.
Yeah.
And it came out of me, and there's very few poems, honestly, there's very few poems that I edit. They come, they get downloaded, and I send them out to the world. I don't touch them. The message is that, and that's one of those poems that's what that was when I wrote it, the way I wrote it every single time.
And I can imagine that in you performing this piece everywhere you go, there is someone in that room wants to write that letter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, and that is what I love so much about art and creative expression, is that it can be a tool to help someone, to connect with someone, to share an experience with someone without a complete stranger, with, have absolutely no idea what the person's name is. And so that's the part that I just think is just so powerful with the work that you do, and just all creative expression is just being able to touch someone, and not so much for the recognition and the fame and the applause, but just to know that there's someone out there that has been touched by your vulnerability and your, openness, and because it's raw, it's a very raw piece.
Very, very. And one of the things that I tell poets, young poets, is it's yours until you release it. Then it goes to whoever it's supposed to be. So if you haven't dealt with it and you can't release it, hold on to it until you're ready. But when you're ready to let it go, just know it is no longer yours. It is for whoever it was meant for.
Wow. I mentioned also in the beginning that you have some pretty exciting things coming up. You're working on a book. You're going to be doing some performing. Talk about what's happening next with Yogi with 2 eyes.
Well, right now I'm working on a workshop called Me, Myself, and I Write. And the workshop is going to be the tapping into the self of the artist. A lot of times when you go to workshops, they want you to write prompts out, do different things out, but they never ask you to look within. Where can you start? What have you lived through? What can you tell us about what you've experienced? What can you've already lived and experienced become a poem, short story? Because I don't want to just stop at poetry. I want to go short stories. I want to go TV scripts. I want to go, let's get bigger. I'm also doing artist retreats, which will be online, and I'll have more information about those, but those are fun because those are in the virtual space. So no matter where you are in the world, you can come in, you can decorate your room. We have a beach, we have all kinds of stuff. I love tech. So for me, anything out of the norm is usually what I'm doing. And I'm usually the first or one of the first few people to do it and try it out and then go to the next thing. I'm working on the book, and I just want for the pages to touch people. I really don't know what God has in store with everything in it, but whatever it is, he's bubbling something. I just have to write it. And I've been doing workshops and getting different things out, but what's coming is for the pages of the book. I'm excited.
I often ask people who I interview and people who I talk to, when it really appears that your purpose was ordained by God, why do you think God chose you, Yogi, be this powerhouse of creative expression in art? Why do you think?
I think he knew I wouldn't care. Not what they say, not what they think, not what they expect. He said that one will be bold, that one will be free, that one will spread the message. And I think that's why me. A lot of times, sometimes I know when I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do because I'll get real quiet. And he'll say, no, that ain't it. That ain't what I want. So, like, coming out in the shell and opening back up and I've learned that I'm a leader without saying a word.
Wow.
Sometimes people forget that they're leading without saying a word. So as I'm telling my mentees to do things and be bold and jump already, I can't tell them that and I'm not doing it too.
That's true.
Or it's been a couple years since I've done it. At least I said I did it before, but they don't see you continuing to live the way you're telling them works. So look, we get older, we slow down, things change.
Yeah. But
at the same time, like you said, he said, I made you for a time such as these.
Yes.
And looking around with the way the world is, sometimes you need that little bit of Yogi humor. So you keep from crying.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that little bit of, did you hear this? A little bit of roll neck and anger so that you can bring up something in you that might be helpful to the situation. And then sometimes you just need that quiet. Like, what's she up to? Let me check on her. So that you can come in and see, okay, it's time. It's time for what's next. So I think that would be the answer, I believe. But
I love it. I love it. Yolanda Barnes, or Yogi with 2 eyes, thank you so much for being on the show today. I could talk to you forever. We just have so much in common. But tell the audience, where can they find your work? If they wanted to learn more about you and the stuff that you're doing, where can they find you?
I am on social media everywhere as Yogi with 2 eyes. And it is YouTube for the videos. And there's more coming. There's more coming.
Amen. Amen. Yogi, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate you. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And I'm so happy for you and all that you're getting ready to do.
Remember, you can listen to past episodes of the PowerPLAY Show wherever you subscribe to podcasts, including iHeartRadio, Pandora Podcasts, and now Amazon Music. You can also watch us on our YouTube channel. Simply search the Hull Bay Productions Media channel and be sure to subscribe so you always know when we're live. And we air each Saturday at 5 p.m. on BroncoiRadio.com. So tune into a new episode of the PowerPLAY Show each Thursday wherever you subscribe to podcasts or on our YouTube channel, or simply visit our website at thepowerplayshow.com. Until next time, I'm Tonya McGrath. We leave you now with Yogi with 2 eyes performance, My Funny Valentine. Thank you for tuning in.
My funny Valentine, sweet comic Valentine, you make me smile with my heart. Your looks are laughable, unphotographable, yet you're my favorite work of art. If you're figureless, then green is your mouth a little bit Not if you care for me. Stay, baby, baby, just stay. 'Cause each day is Valentine's. Each day is Valentine's.